Codex Drukhari is chock full of exciting and powerful combos, from deadly characters to game-winning denial capabilities. This is the Drukhari Codex we've always wanted, with tons of tricks to be played on your opponent. In this video, we're going to take a look at our top 10 favorite combos hidden within its pages. Let's take a look. Hey everyone, it's Adrian here from Tabletop Titans, here to talk about these amazing combinations. I can't say enough good things about this codex. It's completely jam-packed. It honestly was tough to pick a top 10 favorite because they're all so incredible. The entire book is just combo, combo, combo. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to ranking them. We're going to be starting with number 10, going all the way down to our number 1 combo that you have to have in every single Drukhari list. Let's go ahead and dive in, starting with number 10. All right, let's take a look at number 10. This one is a classic combination, but really hasn't been interesting until this point. This is the Red Grief Clown Car. What you can do here is essentially use the Red Grief stratagem, which allows you to, after you've attacked, but before you've consolidated with a unit of witches, get back inside of a Red Grief transport as long as you're fully within 6 inches. And this is the athletic aerialist stratagem, just incredible. This is number 10. There was a lot of speculation as to whether or not the giant units of Grax was a mistake and whether or not it would stay in the new codex. Well, I'm here to tell you it is here for life. There's a number of ways you can run this combination of the endless racks, and we're going to talk about just a couple of them today. The first thing you can do is, of course, take a giant unit of 20 racks, just bodies on bodies on bodies. So you've got your racks as a basis, either giant squad or a smaller, more elite squad. Then what you're going to do is going to pair them with the brand new Kronos. This guy didn't get much love in the past, but he's incredible now. He basically acts as a lieutenant in melee, granting rerolls to wound of 1 in melee for any Drukhari unit within 6. And if he kills enemy models with his lashes, he actually can heal and return models to a squad. So you can take a unit of 1 to 3 of these Kronos, back them up with a ton of these racks, and be constantly slapping, regenerating them, putting racks back inside the unit. And not only that, let's go ahead and take a Homunculus with Alchemical Maestro and the Twisted Animator Warlord trait. This Warlord trait allows him to return D3 racks to a unit within 3 inches during the command phase. Now, all these other instances of actually adding additional models to the unit happen during combat, naturally, because that's when they actually get to do the regeneration, but this one happening in the command phase is extra spicy for its ability to actually go ahead and move yourself onto a point and just snag those objectives from your opponent at the beginning of your command phase, just in time to score your primary. Very, very cool combination. This is number 9. This next combination is a particularly flexible one, and I think you're going to be using it in more games than you think. This is, of course, the Utility Raider or the Utility Venom. It's always good to have a threat to your opponent's backfield, as well as a backup to deploy scramblers. With this new combo, you can have both. What you're going to be doing is you can take a Red Grief Venom or Raider filled with witches, and for 1 command point, you can pop the stratagem Swift Outflanking. What this does is it lets you take a transport and put it into reserve. Then you can bring it in the following turn next to a board edge. What you can do after that, once you popped into that deployment zone, is spend 1 more command point for Murderous Descent. This is going to allow you to get out of the transport after deep striking. Now this gives you 2 possible things you can do. You can pop out of the transport and scramble, always essential, especially after turn 3, where you might have been screened out earlier on, but now there's a gap to be able to do that. Alternatively, and this is why we suggest something like Red Grief or Strife, you can pop out and then go ahead and charge into your opponent's lines, essentially granting these witches deep strike from when they were on the battlefield earlier. Really cool and flexible combination here. Again, you're going to be using it more often than you think, but you're going to have to keep an eye out for the opportunity during the game. Now, the internet's been ablaze about this Succubi, and of course, we would be remiss if we did not include some in our top 10 combinations. This one we're going to talk about here is the Red Grief Succubus. This Succubus is an absolute beatstick, sporting 9 attacks on the charge at strength 5 and flat 3 damage. They can, of course, consolidate right out of combat afterwards, given the upgraded Succubus ability. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to take the Quicksilver Fighter for +2 attacks. You're going to be running the Bloodglaive. This is a Red Grief special relic that gives you +2 strength, -3 rend, and 3 flat damage each. What? So incredible. And lastly, of course, you get your choice of combat drug. You could roll for it, but if you're just trying to max out your flat 3 damage attacks, we're going to be running with Adrenalite for +1 attack in the first round of combat. What a combination, and super, super, super cheap. The unit that has always been one of the coolest in the codex and now gets the extra love that it's always deserved. I've personally been collecting a bunch of them and now running 30 in almost all of my lists. This is, of course, the Incubi. they now have a really cool ability called Tormentors, and what this does is at the start of the fight phase, you pick an enemy unit within engagement range and roll 2d6. If you exceed their leadership, that unit now has to fight last, no interrupting, nothing. It's a true fight last ability, really powerful. And one thing you might consider is, well, it's 2d6. This means that it's actually going to be pretty difficult to do with your average unit, especially when they have sergeants taking them from leadership 7 to leadership 8. Well, let's finish up this combo with some ways of making this much, much easier. First thing you're going to do, you take some Drukhari Codex or Homunculus. This means that your enemy's units are going to be -1 leadership while they're within 6 inches of those lads. Really, really cool. Great start. Second thing you're going to do is go ahead and take an upgrade that is incredibly powerful now, specifically because of this combination. This is Grizzly Trophies. It's a 5-point upgrade you can put on, I believe, any of your vehicles that grants a 6-inch bubble of -2 leadership. And yes, these two abilities do actually stack. So if you have your transports that your Incubi came out of, plus you're running up some racks behind, your enemy's gonna be at -3 leadership, and suddenly this fight last ability is actually quite reliable. Really cool combination, and absolutely loving the new Incubi. All right, so we're in the top half of them now. This next one is an incredibly sneaky one where you can actually give a relic to one of your witches. It might very much in the same way that you could with Space Marines, but this relic is incredible, especially for a squad leader. I'd say it's actually better than it would be for an actual Succubus to have it. This, of course, is the Pin Witches. Let's take a look at it. The Pin Witches is a particularly nasty combination that lets you leverage a few separate abilities to devastating effect. What you can do is take a large unit of witches, which normally, granted, can prevent units from falling back, but at the end of the day, it's just a roll-off. You can just get the +1 with the Sharded and Impaler. You really want to be able to count on these abilities in a competitive game. So here's what you can do. You're going to give them Hecatrix of the Crucible. This is a new stratagem for Cult of Strife that allows you to give your Hecatrix a relic from the Cult of Strife chart in the same way that you might for a character. What relic, you say? Well, this is going to be Morvaine's Agonizer. This is a relic agonizer that has a decent combat output, but really the reason you're taking it is for the fact that any enemy unit that's hit by this relic in combat cannot fall back in the following turn. And of course, this is on Hecatrix, so she's sporting a number of attacks that are very, very reliable. You can actually put her at the connection between 2 enemy units, potentially even 3 if you're greedy, and prevent multiple of them from falling back. I used this against Brian the other day, and it's actually incredibly powerful and really, really cool. I love the fact that this relic is actually better on a Hecatrix than it is for a Succubus. Such a cool ability and an incredibly powerful combination. This next combination came in just shy of the top 3 spots, but honestly, it is the most combo-use combo of all the combos in this video about combos. Anyways, let's take a look. This is the Hellion Star. This is the ultimate glow-up unit, really. They were just a joke of a unit before, with incredibly cool models, and they can do a number of things. I'm going to talk about a number of different stratagems you can use with them. First things first, you're going to want to take a unit of 10 to 20 Hellions. Of course, the more Hellions you have invested in the unit, the more powerful these combinations will be. Number 1, you can invigorate it by Evisceration. This is a 1 command point strat from Cult of Strife to get a 4+ invuln after killing a unit in melee. What this does is it really allows the unit to get stuck in, pop a unit, and actually receive the counter charge or receive the following shooting. Now on top of that, we have the new and improved lightning fast reflexes, now only costing 1 command point. This is going to be really important. Again, as you get in, wipe a unit, you need to be able to take that counter charge, and so for 1 command point, you can actually be popping this multiple times in the shooting phase and in the combat phase for that added durability. Very, very cool stuff. On top of that, you have the Blade Well Placed. This stratagem normally is quite expensive. It's 2 command points to grant +1 AP in melee. Now normally I think this is a very, very steep one that you'd want to run only if you absolutely needed it. But again, the bigger units of Hellions here become more interesting. Their weapons are only -1 AP in melee, and so pumping that up at a key moment, very, very interesting. Next up is Flawless Approach, the ability to turn off Overwatch against this targeted unit. The reason this one is particularly interesting is because there are many ways to turn off Overwatch against an enemy unit, but this one grants it to your unit, meaning that you can jump up with these Hellions, again advancing and charging, and tag tons of enemy squads. What this does is then allow your more fragile units, like your Witches and your Incubi, to then run up and also join the combat. Very cool ability. Last off the bat, to finish up our Hellion Star, is Flyby Evisceration. This is a new improved ability to be able to deal mortal wounds when you fly over an enemy unit. It triggers on 5-ups, but you get a +1 if you're doing this against infantry. So So let's do some basic math here and talk about 20 Hellions flying over an infantry squad, doing a reliable 10 mortal wounds before you shoot, before you charge. What an incredible combination. So hopefully that was enough of a combo for you. This Hellion Star is something I'm really excited to be playing very soon on the tabletop. All right, now we're down to the top 3 combinations in the Drukhari Codex. Let's take a look at this next one. It's a classic, and it's one that, honestly, we've been waiting for a long time. It is the Beefcake Archon. He is incredible. I can't say enough good things about him, and honestly, if you don't take him, you're missing out. So let's take a look at what exactly makes this Combo Wombo Archon work. First off, you're going to be upgrading him for the 15 points to have the Splinter Genius trait. This unlocks, of course, the Relic and the Warlord trait, and natively the ability to once per game fight twice. Very tasty already for 15 points. Then you're going to give him the Jin Blade, a classic relic that has been completely reborn and made absolutely amazing. Now it's giving you +1 strength, -3 rend, and flat 3 damage. In addition, as if that wasn't enough, it also gives you +2 attacks, with the slight downside that after you fight, you roll the dice, and on 1 you take a mortal wound. Cool. I will take that any day. Totally a blade worth selling your soul for. Last off, and this is really the reason that you take him, this is for the Ancient Evil Warlord trait. This has the ability to pick a unit that you're in engagement range and make them fight last. Again, an incredibly powerful ability. It's already good on the Incubi where you get to roll for it, but having this go off guaranteed, you really can't leave home without this guy. He's incredible for many, many reasons. He's a beatstick, he buffs units, he debuffs your opponents. Don't leave home without your Combo Wombo Archon. All right, so we talked about 1 Succubus, but they're so incredible we could not resist actually putting 2 in there. This is my personal favorite, which is why it's clocking in at number 2 in the top favorite combos, and I really can't leave home without her. This is a Cult of Strife Succubus with all the fixins, all the trimmings, and is incredibly, criminally undercosted. Let's take a look at what she does. So which Succubus made the top 2 slot for the most amazing combination? Well, of course, this is the Blender Cult of Strife Succubus. Let me tell you about this lady. She is incredible. In this case, we're maxing and optimizing for number of attacks. So let's take a look at what that means. I've given her the Triptych Wire. This is Strength User. Sounds terrible, but hold on for a second. It's going to be -3 AP, flat 2 damage. Cool, cool. Ah, here we go. Now it's Poison 2+. This means that you're going to be wounding almost everything that you want to go against on 2+. In addition, the Triptych Wire grants +3 attacks. So she's already talking about a base 6 attacks, +3, so we're up to 9. Well, can we add more? Naturally. We then add Quicksilver Fighter, another Warlord trait for +2 attacks. All right, so we're up to 11 attacks. And lastly, of course, we've got our combat drug. We're going to be taking Adrenalite to give us +1 attack in the first round of combat, taking us to a grand total of 12 attacks at 2 damage, wounding on 2s against most things. This is incredible. I love this little lady. She's incredibly powerful, and ultimately only costs you 60 points, which is criminally undercosted on the table. All right, so we've seen the top 9 combos in Codex Drukhari. What could possibly push those ones out for the top slot in it? Well, let's take a look. The number 1 slot goes to the Dark Creed Homunculus. Let me tell you about this Booga Booga boy. He takes the Dark Creed Warlord trait, which of course is Fear Incarnate. What this does is at the end of the movement phase, after you've been able to move up and advance and all that jazz, you pick an enemy unit within 9 inches and you roll 3d6. If those 3d6 total to higher than their leadership, then they lose any actions that they're currently performing, and more importantly, they lose objective secured. Wow, just an incredible combination, especially for someone that wants to be surrounded by a ton of relatively tough objective secured bodies. And let's not stop there. 3d6 is incredibly reliable, but let's make it all but guarantee by taking a couple other things. Of course, we are Dark Creed, so it's going to be -1 leadership within 6 inches. This is often going to be coming from your racks that are just ahead of your Homunculus. And additionally, as we mentioned with the Incubi, we're naturally going to be bringing a Raider or a Venom up close with Grizzly Trophies for that additional -2 leadership. Let's not forget that Dark Creed also has additional debuffs to the combat attrition test for models as just an added bonus, because you know, why not? This guy's incredibly powerful, and he brings other incredible units with him, so this is an auto take in every single competitive Drukhari army. I think you're going to be seeing this Booga Booga Homunculus, just such a cool guy, and he takes our number 1 slot for combos in Codex Drukhari. Well, there you have it. There's just an amazing number of combinations in this book. It's the perfect codex for me personally. I love to play these tricksy tricks on people, having fun, trying different combinations out. And so I've been just like digging through it, trying to find different combinations, things you can do, trying them out in games. And it's just so exciting. This is exactly what a Codex Drukhari should feel like, right? So as always, hopefully this was helpful. Let us know in the comments below if there are any combinations that we missed that you think are particularly interesting, ones that you would never leave home without. We'll be, of course, playing these on the stream very, very soon. And of course, let us know. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next time on the tabletop.